guys got a little downtime between games for the next week or so. Is it going to be weird to practice a couple times? What are you kind of focusing on when you do practice?
Yeah, it's welcome to have some practice time. Obviously, you don't want to overdo it with their legs, and you want to keep guys healthy. So, you really we get a lot accomplished from a standpoint of reps and familiarity and drill work. That really carries over onto the floor, and this group has really learned from that. Over the last couple of years, but in particular this season with this group. So. We haven't touched the floor in a long time. It was great to get guys out there and really tighten up some of the habits defensively and work on some of the things offensively with regard to fundamentals that we haven't really been able to do on the floor. So it was great to do that today.
After tomorrow's game, do you think you'll get 2 practices in for Tuesday?
Yeah, I think our schedule is to be off on Sunday and to do cleanups on Saturday, and then have a practice to get ready for Boston on Monday. I have to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's how we laid it out.
Is it more helpful to have that, especially since you're looking out maybe missing LeBron for a while?
Yes, obviously, even if he was in there, it would still be welcome and valued to have practice time. But yes, in particular, if he's out, then to have more reps for guys to. See what their spots are going to look like. Yeah, that's more valuable.
What's the status of Avery?
Avery, got further evaluation, and he's not going to need surgery. So that's really positive news for us. He's going to play. He's going to be available, but we'll play in a splint. If we use him, I haven't decided whether I'm going to give him, some further time to let it heal up some more. We'll make that decision tomorrow. But he will not need surgery.
Have you gotten any clarity on LeBron's situation? How's he doing? I guess it's been a few days. Is he still in the protocols?
Yes.
Okay. And then you guys used Dwight instead of DeAndre to start the second half. Is that something you're looking at for Friday? And what did you like about kind of that look as opposed to DJ?
Yeah, we made the decision a couple games ago to, because of trying to play both of those guys in really short minutes, we feel like, is either one really able to get into a rhythm? We made a decision to only use one of them, unless obviously we have foul trouble or whatnot. And, it was DeAndre for a bit. I decided in the middle of first quarter, last game, that I wanted to see what Dwight could do. And it was Dwight for the rest of that game. And, I do intend to start Dwight tomorrow against the Clippers. And, but it will be a situation we just monitor really on a game-to-game basis going forward, but with the intention of really just, giving those center minutes to one player, not two, whether it's DeAndre or Dwight.
When DeAndre's not here, obviously one of the things he said, he talked about, he left a situation where he wasn't playing and he wanted to come and play. You've got a ton of veterans. How has it been navigating kind of those conversations so far? Because even despite your injuries, you're still having to have some of those.
With Dwight or with
both of those guys, right? You had it with Dwight for a little bit, where you said this is going to be DJ's time now. You've had it, I'm sure, with Kent.
Yes, no, everybody that signed on with us this year understands, the bigger picture of, this is a team that's trying to compete for a championship, and, sacrifice is going to be required at times. All of those conversations have been super healthy and well received.
Did Trevor do anything on court with you guys today?
Yeah, so positive news for Trevor. Trevor did, for the first time this season, participate in practice on a non-contact basis. Mm-hmm. But most of practice was non-contact, so he was in just about everything. And, obviously a lot of different movements, that go into that. He's still a ways away, still has a, build-up period, before we can expect him to be in the lineup. But, definitely a positive step today.
Bill, awesome.
Hey, Frank. Have you had more opportunities to talk to LeBron? Do you have a sense of how he's feeling at this point?
Yeah, not since the last time we talked. Right now, all I got in terms of an update is he's still in the health and safety protocols.
Okay, then another one, since I can't ask LeBron this. Did you happen to catch his tweet yesterday that seemed to indicate that there was something fishy going on about something? I was just wondering if you might know what that was in reference to.
I did not catch that tweet, and I do not know what that would be in reference to.
Okay. You might be fishing.
Your words, not mine.
Frank, what progress have you seen in the games that LeBron has not missed from what you guys were playing, weeks ago to now, and kind of especially that second half against Sacramento?
Yeah, well, I just think Russ's integration into our system, and how we use him with his teammates. He's such a unique player. I think that's the biggest thing. He's had a lot of positive bursts and stretches for our group. That sort of direct us into the positions we want to put him in particular offensively, but also with he's a different defender for us now than he was 3 weeks ago. In terms of understanding what's expected of him and learning our schemes, which is different than some of the schemes that he's played most of his career. But he's picking those things up. He's a willing learner. He's all in with his intention to execute what we're asking him to try to do. And I think that's one of the biggest things. But really, just the group. We got a lot of new guys learning our system. And obviously it's different when LeBron's in there versus when he's not in there. So, I do think that we're better equipped this time, to handle that than we were early in the season. We're really still learning each other.
We're gonna go Dave here in person, and then we'll go to Andy on
Frank,
Zoom.
you shared with us the 30 assist benchmark is something that you're looking for offensively. Are there any defensive numbers like that as you look to get back to that defensive standard that you guys have set the last couple of years that you look for on a nightly basis?
Yeah, there's a lot, obviously. The biggest thing for me is the overall defensive rating, the efficiency. We're 14th in defensive rating right now. I know there's a lot of talk about points per possession. We play at the second highest pace in the league. So, we're not in the bottom 3 in defense. We're in the middle of the pack, okay, which is where I expected us to be, with such a new group. We're going to grow. So the defensive rating is the number one metric for me, really for the whole league. You know what I mean? When you have a team that's playing with the number 1 or number 2 pace in the league. So obviously there's how many offensive rebounds you want to give up, how many fast break points you want to give up, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, like all those things factor in as well. But they all contribute to the overall defensive rating, which is the most important thing for me.
And dating back to when Avery first came to the team and he had that period where he was away from the team, you would look at the defensive rating. You can get it for an individual game and then
Yes.
compare that to what the number 1 team is in the league.
Yes, that's what we get every game. Last game was the first time that our offensive rating would rank first in the NBA and our defensive rating would rank first in the NBA. So that's always the goal, to execute on both sides of the ball. But we get that after every game, yes.
Andy on Zoom.
Hey Frank, how long into a season, broadly speaking, do you allow yourself periods of real experimentation before you decide, okay, I have to really start locking into what I think I want or what I think works best, just because of either where you are in the season or allowing guys the reps, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's just something you monitor day by day. I have a big picture mindset, so I'm willing to, take as much time as needed to experiment, so to speak, to find things that may work for you. But we got to win games along the way too. You know what I mean? And you don't want to ever compromise the win-loss record, to explore those things. So I think the Sacramento game, the triple overtime game, was one of those games where we were looking at a lot of different things, and you lose that game, and it just that sort of centers me, at least in terms of getting back to what we do and doing it well. And that's where my mind has been the last few days. I thought there was some really positive plays on both the Detroit game and the Sacramento game, the second Sacramento game at Sac. That showed me, that our scheme is really good. We're going to be creative and look for ways to be even better. But when we need to tighten the screws, we know how to tighten the screws.
Great. As we've slowly kind of returned bits and pieces of normalcy. It's been a really long time, at least that I can think of, that Lakers and Clippers have played, we still call it Staples Center, in front of the city. What has your experience been like with that? And I know you've talked before about getting like these little slivers back and kind of savoring those things. What do you think it'll be like Friday to kind of have that piece of it back?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a little more excitement involved. I can't remember, if we had fans for last year's head-to-head matchups or not. Yeah, regular season we didn't have full capacity at all, right? So, that'll be fun. That's a fun environment to be a part of. I think every season's different. Obviously the first year, I was here and AD was here, and Kawhi's first year. I think that's probably where it was at its peak. But there's two great teams that our city's going to enjoy rooting for or rooting against. So it should be a fun environment.
Frank, to go back to the defensive rating question, the last couple of years, you guys have been top 3 in defense and around that 10-12 mark offensively. This year, you're referencing the defensive rating, but you guys are 23rd in offense. Does that surprise you that the defense is ahead of the offense, kind of given the personnel shifts that you guys have made? And what does it look like to you end of season? Like, what would you ideally, obviously number 1 in both, but what do you think is a realistic kind of target for both offense and defense?
Yeah, I mean, we want to, I always set out every year, to be in the top 10 or even top 5 in both. You know what I mean? And, you never know which is going to be ahead of the other early on in the season. Obviously, we've got a team this year early on that it's been a roster makeup where, our defensive lineups have really struggled offensively. So you go to your offensive lineups and they struggle defensively. You know what I mean? So, to me, the rankings are still way too premature to identify who we're ultimately going to be this season, because there's so much trial and error to this early part of our season. But I believe we can be a top 10 in both categories. And honestly, it's not about what has happened. It's about who we're going to be over the next month, who we're going to be the second half of the season. You know what I mean? Where are we going? More than where we're at, because obviously, what has happened, gets evaluated and adjusted. And this mission this year is going to be about peaking at the right time, and we'll continue to grow throughout the season.